and do they think to it. But this the book, Iceman Inheritance. I've had this conversation with all of y'all about everything going on in the world right now, and I just felt like it was the most important thing to discuss. The origin of this, uh the Caucasoid or the Neanderthal, and the aggression towards the human,
Origin of what
towards,
the European?
I mean, if you want to call them the European
What you want to
or
call them?
white, it's
I mean, I don't even know if we should call them European because technically throughout they're specifically when you read the book talking about a specific type of person.
well, let's start
Well, let's
there.
get into it. You know what?
What
Go
what we
ahead.
what
Lead us
we
off. Go
what
ahead.
how do we identify how do we identify on this planet as what are we using? What gauge are we using to measure somebody's
Human. You're human. All
Yeah,
God's
human.
people.
work? So y'all
Are
y'all
we?
Human high spirit. Yeah.
I'm not going to agree on that.
so this book doesn't say that.
But that's just Michael Bradley opinion, though. That's just a white man who wrote that book.
Well, it's
I
it's
know, but their inheritance of what a man. So when we break it down and we get into what a man is, and they're talking about the inheritance of an Iceman, we first have to define what you consider a man. What are you considering a
so
man?
man
Man is
man
short
is
for human. So, you first have to define that.
so that's good because man is mine. In the book, he says that the Homo sapiens is the word is, I think, sapient for a thinking person.
I think,
He's
man, yeah.
saying that these Neanderthal slash Caucasoid was different from the human family that came in around 1500 BC and mixed in with the rest of the human family.
Correct.
Now they were stuck up in I think they call it the worm interglacial ice age, and then the ice started to recede, and then that's when they started to come down and mix in with the rest of the inhabitants of the planet. Pope, you got I don't know if Pope got anything to chime in on that.
Well, it's a lot of angles when you start dealing with this type of stuff that you can go in and and it don't have to be necessarily right or wrong. All of them are pieces to the puzzle. So, um, you got different concepts and theories that I consider pieces to the puzzle. So, that's one piece to the puzzle right there. Uh,
When you say that's one piece to the puzzle, what do you mean, Pope? What are you describing?
well, it's like I said, it's different angles from different scholars that bring all of these things to one big, scope of information because we're not going to get everything out of one book.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying is pieces to the puzzle. If you want to go take it back further, what the ancients said about that, then you get another perspective. If you want to get biblical, there's another. If you want to get biological, there's another. So we got to put all of those things together when we start talking about the origin
Man.
of man. And then if we talk about man as being mind, and we go back to the Hermetic text, all is mind. So man existed in all before man became a physical being. That's the original
But what
man.
about what about man existing as all but not having consciousness of that? So, and to elaborate on that, I will say that when we are discussing the inheritance of the Iceman, these beings are being described as Neanderthals. Neanderthals are being described as, well, just through their description of what I convey from that is going to be beings who they have a soul, but they're kind of acting within primal instinct, which is survival, which is the lowest form of being a human being. You are just trying to survive. That's the equivalent to just being a cell in a body. So when I think of a Neanderthal, I think of them doing whatever it takes at this point in time in these mountains. When I was able to read this book, I'm taking them as doing whatever it takes in order to survive within the Caucasus Mountains in which they were. And this is the reason why they were eating their children. This is why they were eating other human beings. This is why they were having sex with men, because they weren't worried about procreation. That wasn't a thought to them. It was all primal instinct. The primal instinct would have been to procreate, but they didn't have that thought ability. And because they didn't have that thought ability to, this is the reason why I want to wait, can I say the F word? Can I say wait, I'm sorry. What's the word?
You can say it, fuck.
This is no, I can't. Um
Yeah, I don't think
I
so.
don't think you can say that. This is the reason why they would have sexual intercourse,
Okay.
but have no reason to have it. And they were very aggressive with it because it wasn't the innate ability to survive versus the instinct that happens naturally, which is to survive. So your natural instinct when it comes to survival is to survive, and the body already knows to procreate, but they don't have the thought process of procreation, so they just turn around and savagely were taking sex from women. And also not even sex from women. When you get into the book and other context, should I say, they began to how these Neanderthals even had sex with men.
That's yeah.
Am I
So that
going
would
to
be that
am
would be
I
more like a beast and like other animals or mammals, more not so much man.
yeah, exactly. So when we're going back to defining things, can you help me out, Poke, into understanding how these Neanderthals in which they were labeled um were coming about and
So look,
also being called human beings?
right, they
How
can't.
how
No,
how would we call them human beings if they lack the ability to understand the primal reason for having sex, which is procreation, and understanding that because even animals understood that.
okay.
Right. So let
First
me.
thing, Silver is trying to get back in,
I'm
motion.
sorry, my
Oh, okay.
apologies.
I see it. Okay. I think she texted me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to this PDF is like is different from the just the pages, but different civilizations called these uh beings or creatures different things. The Egyptians
Mm-hmm.
called them the Tamahu. One name was Yeti. One name was
Mm-hmm.
Keptar. One name was forget the other name where they came out of the caves because they were coming out in certain during certain periods or waves, and they were coming in and mixing in. But they've been called various different names throughout history. Probably
Flucarides.
flukerides. That's it. And I got a he has a picture in here.
Say that word again.
Uh,
Flugarides.
flugerides.
Okay.
He mentions it in the. I'm trying to find the page, but I guess the human part would be them mixing in with the human family essentially, and just
Well,
becoming. But he's
go
saying
ahead.
they still hold. So here it says Michael Bradley searches prehistory to identify the origins of the European aggression, racism, and
Mm-hmm.
sexism. He's tying
Mm-hmm.
those three categories to the Neanderthal DNA, or I guess DNA, where they were more aggressive due to the climate and their hatred for the human family. And then also, like you said, the just the lack of resources. They couldn't. I'm having all these kids and I can't feed them. I'm like, yo, I'm
So
doing
now are
this.
we go ahead,
No, no, I'm doing
carry
this
on, build on
special
it.
act. I'm doing this special act with this other creature or female, And he kind of goes into this with sex. I think the word is sex. The forism. There was like a wide. They had like the widest, uh, I guess, difference between male and female. Like they're like we were more closely connected to our male and female physically, but their male and female, the Neanderthal was like just just very widely. And he says this is the origin of this Western sexism or hatred toward the female and to their offsprings. So let me try to find this on page 70. I think it's
What
74.
page was that, Moultrie?
If you go to 74 that I'm going to right now, let me see what he I got a note in here.
Okay.
Uh okay, whatever their origin. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes.
So these are this 100,000 year mark, 40,000 year mark. I think he calls these the worm interglacial periods where the ice was receding. Says whatever their
Hmm.
origin is enough to know that the Neanderthals represent a fairly distinct type
Wait,
of
wait, wait,
human.
wait, wait. Stop. Stop, Will. Are you recording?
Yeah.
Do that. Oh, I was about to say, does anybody mind if we record?
No, we already did.
Oh, okay. Y'all must have been here before I was. That's okay. Sorry.
So there's another theory of Neanderthal origins. I ain't gonna read all this, but these Mousterian tool making cultures where they say they was using these certain tools date back to about 200,000 years. Uh, this is one theory that they came from Italy, but he kind of debunks this and says that there was something because they only found like two skulls over there in the Curie outside of Rome. Neanderthal man and his cultural assemblage may therefore be indigenous to Europe and of antiquity comparable to the supposed sapiens morphological emergence. But then we scroll down, he says, whatever their origin is enough to know that the Neanderthal represent a fairly distinct type of human, obviously cold adapted since they flourished during the glacial epoch. And he also goes into, I gotta kind of find it in his book, but they were the only ones that could live up there. Nobody could have lived during that period up there except for them. Like their fur was so thick that we couldn't even go up there until the ice receded. And he kind of goes into some of the people that were coming up there, which some people believe Moses was one of them that went up there into the caves and brought them out. I don't know if anybody want to touch up on that story with Moses. Some of the stories about
Actually, being that the Moses figure would probably be more like historically Thutmose.
right.
So they evidently saw something before they even got to the mountains. Because they wasn't just in the mountains, they didn't just develop in the mountains, they was put in the mountains.
So, are you
Uh,
saying, Pope, that these antigens were sent to the mountains
Because
because they
they
go
was
ahead.
originally among. See, it's more like a genetical process where they was losing melanin. So evidently, at one point they had melanin. They start losing it. So that was a clear sign that you wasn't part of the family. And when they lost the melanin and changed their genetics with the hair and everything, they had to get them out of there because they just look completely, totally like now we accept them because they all groomed up and everything now. But during those times, they would look like animals, like the way they talking about the Neanderthal right now. And they had to get them out of there because the rest of the society didn't look nothing like that. They was a
Okay, so you're
disease
saying that these being I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. If we're going to associate it with the inheritance of the Iceman, are you saying that these particular beings are completely different from human beings? And because society couldn't understand what to do with them, they were sent to those Caucasus Mountains and they were sent to the mountains. And then and because of the, because they already came as who they were. and they were identified, and because they were unable to be a part of society, that they were kind of alienated to those mountains,
Well, it
and then
really is.
having to be brought back into society.
Some people say it's several groups of them, but the group that I'm talking about is the ones that had melanin at one point, like everybody else, and they lost their melanin. So they was amongst us. This is a concept, This, don't look at it as total fact until
Well,
we
let
all
me
do
say
the
this.
research.
Let me say this.
But
Let me give out the disclaimer. The views of the person speaking is solely of that person. Because I got my own theories and my views, and some people might find it offensive. Brianna, Pope, everybody,
yeah, I mean it's
Hart,
cool. I'm not
Steve,
really even
everybody's
giving
gonna
my
have
opinion on it. I'm just giving what's out there. That is not even my opinion because I'm still like looking into this stuff and putting it all together right now.
it's
So
right. Well, that's just a disclaimer we're gonna throw out there so people know.
yeah.
But go
I'm
ahead,
just
Pope.
giving the information that's out there and trying to put it all together because you got a source there. So I'm trying to bring all the other different sources in with that so we can kind of navigate through all of the sources and make some sense out of it.
Okay.
Right. Because that
Yeah.
really, if you get the book, and this is a white guy talking about his
Mm-hmm.
race. This is not a black or Asian or blue, yellow person. He's gotten a lot of scrutiny over this book. Death threats, family members
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to talk to him, disowned him, don't call me again. So he's kind of took on a challenge to listen, I need to know myself and become a better person. And I think that's the ultimate goal is know thyself and evolve and become a better person.
And definitely throughout the conversation and throughout the research is my understanding that we're trying to become a better race, a better group, a better race of people in trying to understand. So, under the first step of understanding would be to understand where these group of people came from, or where, better yet, the question is where these mindsets came from. There are a group of people out here, whether we want to touch base on it or not, who eat people. I know it sounds crazy. It's bizarre. It's like, oh my goodness, but people didn't just start eating people. And we can take that to a whole nother level. And I can give you some leads and some books on why people in and or animals eat other individuals
Let me
for growth. But go ahead. I
look at this. This is a first person account, and he mentions some accounts of seeing these creatures. This is to say that these Neanderthal type creatures now occupy the fringe areas of what is usually regarded as the Caucasoid racial cradle. So that's where they believe this mixture happened. That create that area up in the Caucasus Mountains. In a number of instances, evidence of surviving Neanderthals in this area comes from locations which are just a stone's throw away or stone's throw from established Neanderthal Mousterian sites. And this is particularly true of the Zagros Caucasus area. Admittedly, none of this evidence is hard. We have no surviving Neanderthal in captivity, which he goes in the book. I think, is maybe like 50 or 60 skeletons and remains and stuff of their civilization. And here's the first person account. So from October to December of 1941, our infantry battalion was stationed some 30 kilometers from the town of Banaski. One day, representation of the local authorities asked me to examine a man caught in the surrounding mountains and brought to the district center. My medical advice was needed to establish whether or not this curious creature was a disguised spy. I entered the shed with two members of the local authorities. When I asked why I had to examine a man in a cold shed and not in a warm room, I was told that the prisoner could not be kept in a warm room. He had sweated in the house so profusely that they had to keep him in the shed. And he kind of goes on to say he had a bunch of hair. If you read down, his shaggy hair, his hair was dark brown color. This fur was so much like that of a bear.
So that's why the Europeans so affectionate with dogs.
he goes into
What?
that in the book. Yeah, well, go ahead.
And when
Go
it
ahead.
rains, when they smell like animals.
This, I mean, I mean,
My question would be still, were did they originate there or were they migrated to there?
That's
See, they
well,
I'm gonna go with that question right there. We going
so if you read the book, there
that's
was
more what I want because they don't actually get into that in the book. Will they don't get it? It look from the stakes of the book as I read it. It looked like those people were already in existence and they migrated, or because I don't have more information, were sent there. And that plays more into what the situation was, what Pope was saying, as to these people kind of, it sounds like they were kind of alienated. Okay, when you don't look like us, you don't sound like us, you don't feel like us, you know what? Y'all don't have no mannerisms. You're acting like cave people. Get out, get out. We're going to send you over here. And then when they get there, that's when, because they are withdrawn more from society, we're getting into this animalistic behavior. And I don't know which came first. Did you have that animal behavior first because you are something different, or because you were alienated and segregated just like black people? And I'm going to tie it in just like that. um we have our black people who are not able to reingratiate themselves back into society. You see them when it comes to our felons, that when they come back into society, they are quite like cavemen. They don't know how to act, they don't know how to talk to people. We have to have the most important things that we have to have in society are these programs that help our black men or our incarcerants come back into society to be reingratiated. So what I'm not sure what's happening first in this book. Are we talking about these people who cannot be? Are we talking about a different species of people that were sent off and then they came back and then there was issues and then we called them something different? Or are we talking about people who from society who just happen not to have those mannerisms, that were alienated or ostracized into the mountains, and then by the time they came back out, they had completely changed, and now we're calling them something different, the same way we do with our convicts?
so with that question, we're gonna have to step outside the book
Okay, my
and
bad,
use
my bad.
yeah, because he don't I think he does go into that in his second book, The Chosen People from the Caucasus.
I
He
didn't
does
read that, I apologize.
right, he does reference Arthur Koestler. I'll try to pull his book up, The 13th Tribe.
that's
Everybody's
a good book.
13th tribe, you guys said?
Yeah, I didn't read it, but I heard a lot about it.
so this is a another this is a Jewish guy.
Yeah, and see that
James what? What is it?
Can you
The
see it?
13th tribe.
13th tribe.
Can
Hmm.
y'all see the screen?
It's not, let me, yes.
Yeah,
This is it right
Is,
here.
I
is
see
that
it.
Arthur Colson?
He talks about the around 740, I think 740 AD, the Caucasoids or the Ashkenazi people of that area that converted to Judaism, and that they was up there, they had no culture, no language, they were still grunting. These are your Yetis, your Keptars, your Frogoloids that came in and mixed in. I'm just trying to get an image of this. So you can
right.
see.
See, that's why I said these are pieces to the puzzle, and we need to look at all of that to get an understanding this whole process of where we are now with these types of people.
Moultrie, can you let Tasha in?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, no, you good.
Okay.
Yeah, because the
Let me get back
Iceman
here.
inheritance is a good portion. It's giving us information, but it, and it's not to be disregarded. I'm just saying that is other pieces that can blend in with that to give us even more understanding of what's going on with that. So it's not to say like, oh, we don't need to, use that. It all fits in. All of that fits in. All of that fits in. It's all part of the puzzle. Because you got to remember when these people started putting down information long before we got to these books, they scrambled everything where we couldn't even really find it. We at the period now where we can get information on it, but just look back probably like beyond the early 1900s, that stuff was scattered around. Nobody know where to start with it. I remember when they had caveman movies on TV. They
Hmm.
started shutting that down.
Yeah, they kind of, he talks about it. They kind of just moved away from this. And
Yeah.
you hear it in some of at the collegiate level when people are inspiring to become anthropologists and archaeologists, they don't want to touch this. Like they kind of found out and said, we got to leave this alone. Let's go to Africa. Let's go to South America. Let's go to the islands. We're staying away from this.
So what? They started tapping into some truths that they didn't want to put out to the public.
I think that's exactly what it is. It's the uncomfortable conversation or addressing the elephant in the room. And they was like, we don't even want to talk about it. Everything that we're finding is pointing to this Neanderthal Caucasoid uh, mixture or merger and they said, listen, we're not going to mess with it. But here he says this is the same this kept I think he called it a Keptar. His eyes told me nothing. They were dull and empty, the eyes of an animal, and he seemed to me like an animal and nothing more. I gave the verbal conclusion that this was no disguised person, but a wild man of some kind. Then I returned to my unit and I never seen him again. At any rate, similar creatures reported by other observers in the Caucasus area. And he has a bunch of reference, man, and everybody, like if you really start peeling back the veil of this, it's a whole lot of information on this. But he stood about 5 feet high, 5 feet in height. They were called Keptar by the modern inhabitants. So these modern inhabitants of the Caucasus Mountain is probably the ones they mix with.
Say that one more time, Will.
So he says, at any rate, similar creatures reported by other observers in the Caucasus area are stated to be about 5 feet in height. They are called Keptar by the modern inhabitants. In July 1957, Professor Leon Tovey, a biologist with the Ministry of Hunting of Dagestan, was conducting an official survey of this area, and this is when he saw a Keptar. This is what they call a Keptar. You probably hear this name mentioned. You'll hear it mentioned throughout the book. Uh,
I mean, and I don't know if I'm incorrect in mentioning this, but when we begin to speak of Neanderthals, unless the literature is incorrect, Neanderthals were to be seen from the height of uh about I understood at 6 foot that they were tall. So are we speaking
no,
about this?
he says
He's
they were
speaking
like,
of these Keptars, but when we speak of Neanderthals, because and I'm only going back, hold on, and let me not misspeak. Hold on, let me pull up the information.
so he's saying for someone to survive in those cold climates, they had to be kind of like short and round, like Eskimos. And their let me try to find it. Hold on. Their body had to evolve or be created for that type of
Yeah,
to thrive in that type of environment. And they were the
so
only ones
so
that could live up there.
And I'm not incorrect in what we're talking about, because when we go into the history books, and this is why we have to really break down things, because Neanderthals specifically are described as being at least 6 foot tall. And because their heads were so large at the time that they would hunch over. But the hunch over, I can't imagine it being all the way down to 5 foot.
Mm.
So where are we having this discrepancy in our historical books?
You know
Because
what? It sounds like it might be a combination because if they was on all fours, that means if they upright, they probably was taller.
you know what? Look at you.
That's
Look
what I was gonna say.
at you.
So that story with Moses, when he brought him out, they say he had to put a rod tied to their back for them to walk upright.
Got you. So that's where that makes sense. I'm 6 foot tall, but I'm hunched over. A person hunched over might give you the ability, as they're walking kind of ape-like, they're 5 foot, because like you said, Poke, they're walking on all four. Okay, that makes sense.
So
Yeah,
here
it's
he
kind of deep.
oh, this is the Eskimo thing right here. Uh he says, like the Eskimo of today and the Neanderthal of the further past were roundly code adapted according to the tenets of, or the tenets of islands rule. I think he's talking about the just adapting to your environment. Yet, even though these Eskimos were adapted almost as much as Neanderthals in roundness, they had a decreasingly significant percentage of old people in their population. They did not live as long as the Neanderthal and were less well adapted. It is obvious that a stocky body type was not the only Neanderthal adaptation to cold. The fact that the Neanderthal could support 3 times the number of elderly as Mesolithics and one-third more elderly as Upper Paleolithics strongly suggests another dramatic adaptation to cold conditions. And then he says,
So is he saying from the due to, so are we to understand that due to the cold conditions, their body hyperflex and resulting in the body contracting in that forward motion? Is that what I'm understanding?
uh, that sounds about right. I mean, you just reword that in layman's terms.
Okay, okay. To reword it in layman's terms, when you get cold, you go like this.
Right.
So if
Okay.
I'm cold, I'm gonna go like this. And so I'm cold, I'm trying to keep the purpose of the body, like the human body is so intelligent, it's gonna always keep itself in mind. So if you're keeping your body in mind, you're like trying to keep your organs cold. So the first thing you do when you're cold is you're like, I'm a hunch over. Oh, I'm cold. And now I'm walking like this. I'm cold. You're bowing
Right.
down because you need to keep those vital organs warm. So that's what I was trying to get to.
I
Is
think
that
that's. I
what
think
was
he.
happening?
I think he kind of goes into that later on down this second paragraph. He said there's no need to postulate 3 races in Europe in order to account for great variations in body types. At different times, the modern men who came into Eurasia at the close of Worm One during the Gotwig interstitial came from the South. There's no reason why some of these men should not have shown strongly Negroid characteristics, but there would have been absolutely no reason for any of them to have been stocky and squat. Coming from the warmer South, these men too would have reflected island's rule. In general, all of them should have been taller, and thinner than these Neanderthals.
Correct.
So I think the ice is receding. People are starting to go up there. They're, I guess, venturing out. Whatever happened after that ice age. Now they're going up in there and seeing what's
So if 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 the ice is receding, does it mean it's automatically warmer there now? Because it's
Yes.
still cold over there now.
I don't know the degree. I don't know the degrees of how it was during the Ice Age, but I would imagine it was
A
extremely
lot of places up there now is still like snowy and ice most of the year. If you're going into the Alps and Switzerland, where a lot of those people still got a lot of those traits, it's still real cold right now.
right.
It's still
Yeah,
real
but
cold.
here's the thing.
Probably not as cold.
Right,
Well, what I
that's what
mean
I'm
is,
thinking is the degrees.
yeah, that'd be true, but when we looking at cold like 32, anything below that is really cold.
It
Hmm.
is anything below 32 is cold, but if we are to take into consideration that these people are already out there and adaptation, these people are sent out there. I don't I guess we would have to find out how many people were originally out there because adaptation is a thing and these people are being described as darn near Wookiees. You know, I kind of relate them to the Neanderthals being almost like Bigfoot. And Bigfoot was able to be out there, and we still don't know what that was. So, I mean, I don't know. Adaptation is something different. I believe that degrees of separation could make a difference in survival.
So with these Neanderthals being
Could
able
you
to
guys hear me?
survive in the warm weather where it was like really hot,
No, well, that's what he said
They
with
so that's the
that.
thing. They probably wouldn't because they mentioned that in the book of that they wouldn't be able to survive in such warm climate that they would have to go to a cooler area like a polar bear would have to be.
so being that that's said, they're not really adapting. They going somewhere that's more conditioned to them.
Right. Or they're
The
maybe
the area is not conditioned for them. They couldn't stay there. So it was more better for them to go to the colder areas.
the sun wasn't their best friend,
Right.
so to say.
See,
Well,
when you looking at the whole makeup
hold
of
on,
this
Paul.
thing is really
Steve,
based on
Yeah, I'm
melanin
trying to
base.
come back.
hold on, Paul. Steve, you want to say something?
No, what do I need to do? Could you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you. Yeah, we can hear
Oh,
you.
my fault. I'm trying to okay, go ahead. No, no, go ahead. I'm
Okay.
listening.
Okay.
See, they most people who are darker seem to be able to live under the sun. Most.
Right.
And some Caucasians can do it, but most don't like living under the sun, even now. So that means is something in the genetical makeup that's allowing that for to happen. So when they went to the mountain, they was actually going somewhere that made them feel better. So where the adaptation part come in, I'm not really sure. I'm not dismissing it, but I'm just saying it looked like they was going somewhere better than where they were before, if they was moved at all. Now, if they was always up there, then to adapt, it means that at one time it was warmer and then it got colder. So they adapted.
Right.
So that the inheritance of the Iceman doesn't really go into the transition of them being a part of society and then going into that area. So that's a great area for another book to, I guess, reference that.
Well,
Only
that's
because
cool.
I
I'm just
unless
saying,
you
like,
know
if they were,
unless you guys know something different than I know from the book.
I mean, that's cool. It's cool. They seem like they referencing that they was like already up there.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
to
that's where I'm at. Like by the time I'm reading this book, yeah, I mean, Shorty is up there eating people already.
yeah,
Booyah.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
something
busting it open.
So to me, the adaptation part, I don't know. I mean, they seem like they was in a more familiar environment to me. Like
Hey, yo,
where,
Poke,
where, where, where
I feel like you were just saying they was up there in the mountains. They sent them where they wanted to be. That's what I'm getting from you. You like, yo, listen, the people wanted to be up there. They wanted to act like animals. Forget it.
I
Let them
mean,
act
if
like
they,
animals. They be up there.
I mean,
It's up.
if they nature is beast like already, that's all they really even know. See, is nature is one nature versus another type of nature. One that lives in harmony with nature and one that's not really in harmony with nature. So
Okay,
these people,
so with you saying that, Pope, bring it in for me as to how that ties into white men in America, because that's where we really need to get into this.
Well,
We're to
let me ask y'all this. If anybody want to comment on it, females, because I put this question out there. He's saying all this in this book. How is it dating these men and hearing this stuff? Is it accurate? Is it like, yo, I mean, we see in society now with the serial killers, we see with the wars on the planet, racism, segregation, redlining. We see the hatred, uh, what they call them, illegal immigrants. You can throw that in there. We see the hatred for the human family. We see the wars, all the stuff with Africa and America and everything like that. Is it accurate to say that for the
can I
women?
be can if I am to be honest with you, and I know I'm going to catch gripe for this, right? Y'all not going to like me, and that's okay. But while we discuss white men and their hatred for society, I refuse to ignore Black men and their ability to sell their women. So the same thing that we see from white men and we say, oh my God, this is so crazy that they did this to us. Throughout history, I have actually seen, there is scriptures, there are books as well about Black men and Black society doing the same thing to their women. So that I feel as though that is a different conversation to have, because when it comes to, if you want to argue their women versus our women, then that's a different discussion. But if we are to talk about what happens in society in regards to how women are being treated, that has not changed, whether it's white, Black, Asian, or whatever. Women
but
have
what is
always women have always been seen as a token to be sold, to be traded. We have been seen as nothing more, because you have a lot of literature has regurgitated that we are the helpmeet to society. And because we are considered the helpmeet to the patriarch, and that we are nothing more than a person to be an attribute to what a man is, or be to encourage a man. Women are not looked at as a goddess, as a woman who can do. We are looked at as, how can we help? How can we provide more? How can we stabilize? How can we uplift man? So it doesn't matter whether it's a white man or a Black man or an Indian man. That has been throughout society as how men see women in total. So that's not really a black and white discussion. And it has actually nothing to do with the inheritance of things. But as far as what I see from white men to Black men, I will say that, and it actually has nothing to do with the inheritance of white men, while they do have a lot of issues that's going on, and that can be addressed, that white men, maybe Black men treat white women as trophies, and white men treat Black women as trophies. But I do find that white men, to answer your question, are a little more understanding, or Is it understanding or um hmm, tolerant? It's either understanding or tolerant. They can choose whichever one. Um,
Okay.
but understanding or tolerant to the behaviors of a Black female when it comes to society, and more than a Black man is. A Black man comes into society believing that because, and forgive me, guys, but my mama made it happen. So you need to make it happen, shorty. My mama made me oatmeal. You need to make me oatmeal. My mama did it for me. You need to do it for me. Or my mama didn't do it for me. You should do it for me. I'm looking for you to fulfill certain things. And when that Black woman can't fulfill those certain needs, but another race of woman does, they are paraded around as if they've done something when we weren't allotted the same grace that those other women were. When those other women were gracefully allotted an opportunity to fully be maybe a young lady by having a father in their house, or coming from a certain upbringing, that's not taken into consideration when it comes to Black men. So that's to answer that question, but one has nothing to do with the other. White men treat Black women like their trophies, just like Black men treat white women like their trophies. And that is done because you're both
Mhm.
experiencing something. And you and I have talked about this
Something
before,
different.
that you have never experienced before. And you just want to fill the void. And
Hmm.
a lot of people pay more attention to filling the void versus what it is. And that's completely understandable. Work for whatever works for you.
Okay.
But I
Steve.
can't necessarily say it's wrong.
Okay.
But what percentage are you speaking of? Because I'm from a foreign country, and when it comes to
I'm speak.
white,
Go ahead. I'm
when it
sorry.
comes to white and black, from my perspective, in my country, women carry themselves a certain way, so that forced a man to respect them and carry them a certain way. But once I came to the United States, I find that totally different. It's like, and I'm going to side with you with this. I see black men and white women. I mean, black white men disrespecting women. Period. And to me, that was like, why would you do that? That's like a mother. That's like a sister. So for me, that's like a totally different perspective. But going back into the Iceman heritage we all was talking about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
if they have a way of dominating, and we went through slavery, we are reality from them. Because one from
Hey, Steve,
You going in?
Man, Steve, I'm loving what you had to say,
and
baby.
when I
You gotta
ask why,
move.
I think
when I ask why,
your internet a little
oh
messed up, Steve.
no, my phone is plugging up. That's why.
Okay.
Oh, I'm like, Steve, we
Hold
want to
on,
hear you.
hold on 1 second.
But remember, if I'm not mistaken, black black men were able to vote before white women. So if we live in a Western civilization, and now I'm reading this book and I'm trying to understand the hatred toward women. We have never and you can go throughout Greece and Rome, they have slaughtered the goddesses that were in their civilizations.
Will you guys hear me
Drag,
now?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you can continue.
And I
I'll
was
come
just
back.
saying that they wasn't even allowed to vote.
But listen what you
So
just said though. See, this is what you just said. You mentioned Greece and Rome. These are the same descendants in the Western civilization is an extension of that.
right,
So the psychology is going to be the same.
right. It
And
never
we only
changed.
adopted what we picked up from what we
But
got from them.
that's what I was going to say. When you look at so-called black civilizations, it was a balance. We have seen women rise to the highest level of humanity in those civilizations. We don't have that example in a so-called Western civilization. And if they did rise to that level, they were dragged through the street and beat to death, or the church waged war on them, or
Well, those who
all
know,
the three Abrahamic
those who do
religions.
the real study know the reason for that. You know, it's a little bit more complex than the trivial, disrespect thing. Is a lot to do with way more, but we're not going to touch on that. But I
But
just
does
wanted
it
to
does
mention
it
it.
does it does it start here with the lack of resources and me living in a colder climate and I'm having babies and I'm like, yo, this baby, this a greedy baby. This motherfucker, he want to eat all the time. I
They was
can't
probably
keep.
eating the babies.
Well, that's what she was saying.
They
They
were no,
were they were
that's
eating
what I was explaining is at that time when you have those when you had those group of people who were living in the mountains, I want you to think when you're most primal and I can actually take it back to the Bible, but I don't like to get into that because they get a
You
little
can go
creepy.
ahead, because I'm about to do it soon
I
anyway.
don't like to do it, but I'm just saying, even in the
You already
Bible,
touching on it though. Go
I'm
ahead.
just saying, like they was already eating their kids, and what we was talking about when it comes to the Caucasoid Mountains is like, well, what were you doing? Eventually, you started breeding for feeding, and I know people don't like to talk about it, but it's real.
breeding. That's a nice. I like.
You were breeding for feeding. I want you to take your mind back to a time where if you're in a mountain where it's cold, and I watch these many people go to I want to travel to the mountains. I want to climb Mount Everest. There's nothing up there. There's nothing else. There's nothing up there to eat, and there's nothing there to drink. You can
Right.
melt all the water you want to, it's going free. It might freeze your motherfucking tongue. So you don't have nothing. You don't have nothing to eat. You don't have nothing to drink. People is up there doing all types of things. So when these people is in these Caucasus Mountains and they don't have food and they don't have all the resources that other people have, because that's the part that we're missing, is because in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world where they began to start to migrate, when they get into that, where they follow the animals, where they follow the moon, when they're following I don't even want to get into that, but when they're following the animals, period, the animals is going to tell you everything you need to know. These people didn't follow the animals up into the mountains because them animals left them. They didn't have nothing to eat. They tell you throughout society and all the history books and everything, there was nothing up there to eat. They left, they migrated, they don't know what to do. They started eating their own people. They were eating their women, they were eating their children, and eventually the only thing that I could think is people became less than when you started eating your own. Okay, I got a chick I like to bang. I want to hit her out. I got to bust a nut. Cool. All right. Well, she turned around and she got pregnant. Okay, you had a baby. You can't help the baby survive. The baby, you not if the woman is not eating, she has nothing to produce for the child. What we gonna do? We just gonna eat the baby. Now we savages.
But let me some what time period are we speaking of? Because how long would it take them to survive before they start doing that? Because it seems like you guys talking about generation upon generation. If it was nothing up there, how would they able to survive, especially even the first year?
There.
You know what I
So
mean? So if you really think,
there
I
were
got you coming
animals. There
right up.
were there were animals up there. Um, Hold on. They were mainly he in the book, the Neanderthal, they were mainly hunter gatherers. They were hunting the meat. They were eating meat up there. I think let me find the
Just me.
page.
They
I don't know what
actually have a madness for it. They when you eat when you they actually talk about the madness that happens from eating the meat and only meat because they had no vegetation, and that was the part of the reason that affected their psychological being. And we can get into that as to why the carnivore diet is not for everyone, but got you coming right up.
yeah, there were animals
Okay.
up there. I can't I
One,
don't it's somewhere in the book. I don't know.
no, I mean they had animals, but the animals hold on, I got a note for that.
Okay. I would like to know, is Amir still on the line with us?
He's still on.
Who?
Amir,
Francis.
Brother Amir.
Where he at?
69.
Uh, I kind of like to see some of these people participate,
Let
but
me
it's
let me
cool.
I'm gonna go to 69 real quick and talk about the so Steve, the
Page
period,
60. Are you talking about page 69? Let me go.
yeah, he just
Okay,
talks
hold
about
on.
the time period you're talking
Hmm.
about with these what they call worm 1 and 2 and 3, when the ice age was occurring. I think it started around like 4,000 years,
Hmm.
then it was like 200,000 years, 100,000 years, 40,000 years. And I think around that 40,000 year mark is when the ice started to recede. And you first see them. He mentions it here around 1500 BC, which you can cross-reference with other cultures at
So
that
who will
time.
be writing this information about this,
You said who
these
is,
40,000 years?
what you mean?
Who will be writing about this? Like, where we can get, where's the reference point
What's
of
his
the time
reference?
period? And like, they didn't know how to write and record nothing.
Right. Okay, here we go.
Like,
Well,
where
the
did
recording
they
of
had
the
it?
book is Michael Bradley.
Yeah, well, what I'm
So
saying
the
is when they get in their sources, where are they drawing their sources from? Because they didn't do the history.
So he says, perhaps it's fair to say that most anthropologists now believe that the apparently primitive morphology of the Neanderthal was the result of special adaptation. Uh, he has a couple anthropologists in here that he quote, but they're mainly, I think they're German, if I'm not mistaken. They started out
See,
being closer to modern man in appearance and ended up being far from removed from him. The Neanderthals of 100,000 years ago were apparently less brutal and more modern than the Neanderthals of 40,000 to 50,000 years ago. He says, in the
So
light
they
of,
so they basically, from what you're saying and what they're saying, is that they were very much like men, but after they were ostracized and became a part of more, they were alienated and ostracized, being in that climate by themselves, having to govern themselves away from society, that they changed. And that's what I was getting to in the beginning. What happened first?
if you,
The
right, if you get it's a book, the
what I'm
Shane, I
saying
think,
is, if they writing about themselves and we talking about them talking about themselves, where did they get the history from that time period when they wasn't able to even speak to
what it,
speak about what they writing about now?
what they're
from
archaeologists.
the go ahead.
Right, they're archaeologists and anthropologists are studying the planet and saying that can y'all see this? Let me see my screen real quick.
Hmm.
Um, in light of our present knowledge, which is admittedly scanty, well, that kind of throws it out right there. But he says only one environmental factor can be correlated with the backward evolution of the Neanderthal. The last glacial period worm in the European sequence began 100,000 years ago, dependent into deepened into intense cold and moderated about 40,000 years ago before returning once more to savagely cold conditions, which ended only with the last retreat of the glaciers about 8,000 to 10,000 BC. The period of modern climate about 40,000 years ago was called the Gotwig Interstadial. I think he referenced this guy a lot, so he's one of the ones that was, I guess, breaking down the different periods of the Ice Age and who was up there.
Mm.
So I guess my question is, based on this book, The Inheritance of the Iceman, and what you know today, how do you feel as though how does a person, how do you, basically, I'm not going to say a person, how do you feel as though that this has affected modern day society? Because that's really what this is about. This is about the modern day ice age man, based on their behaviorisms. How has that, how are those behaviorisms still affecting how we operate in today's society over however many years later
So
since we've identified it.
this is what Elon Musk said. Because this kind of ties into this book, is the reason why I started the conversation. We've got civilizational suicide, empathy going on. Also, the
Mm.
fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy. The empathy exploit is what he's saying is what's killing the Western man. And
See,
that's
that's
exactly
talking about definitely.
Somebody else said that bullshit to me. I'm sorry, excuse me. Said that BS to me.
about empathy.
Yeah. Because when you speak of empathy, it's funny how Tim, dog, I can't talk
So what and
I'm
that's
a I'm a I'm a
essentially
digress because I can't speak against that.
Uh, mm.
go ahead, Steve.
no, I mean, I understand a little of what they've been through. But when you really think about it, for the last, what, 400 years or so, it was deliberately set out to destroy, deliberately, pen and paper, what you want to call it, to destroy the black race or to turn them upside down. And over time, you teach that or perpetuate that to the youngsters, me young European. They take that in and their brain become like cement or so hardened that they think they're supposed to act or be this way because the whole entire culture is teaching them that they are superior. You understand what I mean? It's like
Right.
to a
That's the
degree.
real inheritance. The real inheritance is that they supplanted us and now seeking to destroy us, right? Trying to be us, because
Yeah, I
we,
understand that. But
right.
what I'm
You're
trying to
right.
say,
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead, continue.
so like if you part of that, and we, who is to me the most peaceful people on the planet, why I say that, because some information came across to me recently, and it was asking how much nuclear weapon has any black nation own, and it's kind of making me start thinking about that. They are trying to, I don't know, put fear or to get what we already have, but they use it going in the wrong way by using domination, by using scare tactics, by not educating us. Well, I mean, educating us, not giving us the truth about who humanity is. Because we as melanin people, we know it. We just have to dive back into who we are. And we are following their ideology. Even this phone we're using on right now, they could be
Mhm.
listening to what we are talking about, what we are planning, because they, from a Neanderthal perspective, they always mimic. They always mimic. They when they want to overtake, they always mimic you, or they always steal what you have. So I think it's somewhere it's like they are being educated to keep us down, but we're not realizing it. If that make any sense.
No,
Absolutely.
it makes total sense. And something that came to mind just randomly, we find ourselves getting involved in these conversations, and I know this sounds crazy because I thought of it myself, but are any of us really doing anything wrong? I want you to think about it on a cellular level. On a cellular level, your job is to survive and to overcome. So and we're not going to say overcompensate because my job, the goal is to survive, to procreate and reproduce. And on a singular cellular level, we're talking about reproducing yourself. How can I carbon copy me to the best perfection that I can possibly do? I reproduce and I reproduce and I reproduce until I create the perfectionist part of me. But I'm wondering,
Well, let me
you
ask you this.
know, throughout
So
this, go ahead.
with that understanding, what would be the biggest threat to you on this planet?
Something that could
Survive.
something that could survive longer than me, which was anything, which is any
Well,
person who
uh,
contains melanin. Why?
right.
Because
Something
I
that you
need
can mix
you.
with
Yeah,
that's going to
how can,
eradicate.
and exactly, that would eradicate, but in actuality it would be backwards, because you would be eradicating yourself, because melanin would provide you the protection you need. But you think that the melanin is killing you, so therefore you decide that I don't want that, and that's why your race is dying. But I digress. That would be in my mind. Like, your whole key is to survive. The whole cellular level is to survive, but melanin protects the cellular level from UV light, which would break it down. So if you were protecting yourself from the UV that would break it down, but you felt as though
Let
you
me
didn't need that because you were white, then yeah,
mhm.
I
I
think
don't
it's
Okay.
know.
I think it's the way because the way they are makeup. I think because I know we are made with certain different genes type, and they have lesser genes type. I don't think it's like they're afraid of the complexion or the sun. I think they just can't stand it. They can't be in it because of this. I think it's sodium or whatever the body consists of. It's like it heats up with the sunlight. So that's the reason why I think they probably could move into a colder climate and actually survive.
I mentioned it earlier is the carbon. Carbon is the basis for melanin. They don't have as much as we do. They have it, but not as much as we do.
Not as much, yeah.
So that provides the harmony. Then when you talk about survival, you have a harmonious survival, and then you got a disharmonious survival where it's greed and I don't want to use racism because really these people are not even really white. Like they're not really white. You know what I mean? They just lacking melanin. You see, that's what that is. Genetically, they just
So
lacking
you
melanin.
think, so what you saying, Poke, is this is all really just a misunderstanding. This racism that we have out here is really a misunderstanding, and we're really all in it together. We just don't know it.
No, I
That's what
don't
I
think.
hear you
Well, the
saying.
thing is, if you really look at it, a lot of the people that's calling themselves white is actually mixed.
It's funny you say that. I remember reading something a while back. My wife is from Trinidad, and she's mixed. And when I look up the heritage over there, that whole entire island was one considered to be European. They name it European country. They said the people was European, but technically it wasn't true because there's whitewash information that they put onto
The
them.
royal family over there, most of them are mixed. White is a construct that was recently created. Like they wasn't always calling themselves white, and they wasn't
Well,
always using the term black.
right.
Yeah, we know that when they came
So
in.
we know that, but I'm just saying that for the fact that when we tying this in, it's different streams of information going on simultaneously, and a lot of that is used while we getting the truth. A lot of it is throwing us off of the truth. See, they very strategic in their survival mechanism.
Well, this
They
right,
do.
and this human evolution is really dealing with. He talks about it, and other people talk about it. It's dealing with their evolution or them stepping into integrating with the human family. That's not, when you talk about Darwin and all these other people that were
Yeah.
talking about the races of the planet or the five races. They're discussing how they evolved from whatever it was. I mean, Neanderthal, Caucasoid mixture, and then coming in, mixing with the rest of the human family.
Okay. And really, there's nothing really wrong with that. It's just that how do you apply it without including that part of the history and the science that you got it from? Like, it's okay if you want to mix back in, which they did anyway,
Mhm.
but then
Just have to come inside.
try to destroy the people that you mixed in with, and then change the whole history and science up about the people that you mixed in with.
Well, that's the thing. They say to hide something from us, put it in a book, but in all actuality, they're probably they're the most lied to. They don't even know their history or the history we're talking about. I
Because
mean, they might,
there are
some of them might
people
do,
that
but
did the same thing they doing to us, they did to them.
exactly.
But what he's saying is they don't, the worst case about it would be the fact that you don't, somebody lying to you and you spreading propaganda and you don't even know it.
Well,
And I think that that's kind of like the biggest point
that's true.
because they, go ahead.
That's true what you said. But see, the problem with that is they got uh benefits out of that. And they ran with the benefits to the point where now if there's certain things they don't like now they got a problem. But they ran with that. See that they ran with a lot of the stuff that they knew probably wasn't good, but it was working for them.
Yes,
You
I
see what I'm
just
saying?
discovered
And
that.
now everything is hitting the fan. They got issues. See, and now everything is hitting the fan in the Western society. But those people who are the real crazy ones, they say they don't care either way. We gonna do what we got to do anyway. We already
Well,
know
like,
we what we did.
and that's what she was saying was survival.
Yeah,
But
And I'm not
but
saying they're
here's
doing
the
nothing
thing, would
wrong.
they, but will, would they, would people, if you are to read, and this is the important portion that I want you to take away from the inheritance of the Iceman, and this is the most important thing, because it's about me, a black woman, okay? It's about all the black girls. It's about society. So when those people began to come down from those Caucasus Mountains, when they became sick, those people began to breed, and I'm going to use the word breed. They began to have sexual intercourse when they came back down, when the ice glaciers began to recede. They began to meet us, us as people, and I'm talking about the melanated people and the Lyme disease that they had, the other diseases that they came in contact with when they came down and they barbarically raped and mutilated our women, and these women still had these offsprings, the offspring of these of this rape that took place resulted in a greater society. And that's what people need to see right there. That's really the gist of things that people really need to see in society is that you had these people up in the Caucasus Mountains acting all crazy. They were Neanderthals. They was out there acting crazy. The glaciers begin, the sun came out, it began to melt. They came down, they raped, they ravished your women, and guess what? These, and by the way, it's not that the black men went ahead, because I know what white women, I know women want to say, oh my God, the black men gave away our. No, we're not even talking about there. We're not even there on this BC right here. We're not even there. These women were already there due to migration. And the women who were there when they came down from these mountains were raped and ravished. And what happened after that point was beautiful, because mixed women, mixed children are able to withstand more than any other race. The white race, when they came down, to have the understanding of, hold on, when the men came down and they began to rape and ravish the women, once they began to get pregnant, human history and society, the origins became different and created different populations, broader, and created an outstanding understanding of the radical purity. The insights resulted in the relief of health deficiencies, skin deficiencies,
You see,
Lyme disease.
you see that in that TV show with was it King George that was sick? His bloodline was sick.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even get
And she
into
had
that.
to, his mom
When
had to find a suitable candidate, which just happened to be Queen, was it Queen
yeah,
Mary, the black woman? Was it Mary Pope?
no, I forget the girl's name.
Um,
I honestly forget her.
She
But
ended up,
yes,
she ended up curing his, as time went on, his descendants didn't have
the
it.
mental health the mental health
Right,
disorders that he was
right,
having as a result of
right.
long prolonged it was a result of prolonged mental health issues as a result of a blood disorder. That's
Right.
originally what it was. So when you get into it, there was a blood disorder was taking place as a result of that. He kept having psychological breakdowns, which was a
Exactly.
form of schizophrenia that was able to be balanced by being procreating with a black woman who had the melanin.
Exactly. And
And
his
they speak about that throughout our heritage when these people came down. So they talk about and that has been the case throughout society, even when we say fuck this and get into slavery. And when we talk about wet nurses were never white. The wet nurses were always black, and
yeah,
they
but
kept and they kept them pregnant.
listen how that's being said. They had to do that for their condition, but we can't do the reverse. We can't do the reverse. We didn't have the disease in the first place to do the reverse.
But
But
why would we? But why would we need to do? We don't need
no, I'm
to.
just saying, just
You know,
hypothetically.
you're right. Yeah.
So hypothetically, it would be natural for them to go that route because they know that's the only escape route for them. Where we didn't have to even think about that.
Melanated people are richer.
Right.
We are richer in genetics,
So,
and the melanin protects all of them, even from the farmer is ancestry.
well, the
We've
melanin
outlived. Go ahead. Go ahead.
then takes on the most of the ultraviolet rays of the sun. So if you don't have melanin, you can't take in that. So you're gonna be
And you can't get none either. You can't create it.
no, you can't create it. But what I'm saying
hey,
is that
hey, I'm sorry, just not to interrupt you, but the it was Queen Charlotte.
Charlotte,
There
yeah,
you
that's
go.
what
And she caught a
Charlotte.
lot of slack. The lady that wrote the story, it was two ladies, they caught a lot of slack and they said, listen, based on our research, this is what we concluded. And they did a lot of protesting. Queen Charlotte wasn't black and all this other stuff. But if you read the books, it says she
She was
came from a,
passing.
Yeah.
yeah, she came from
And then
a black
that's the
noble
thing
royal
about
line in
it.
Germany.
They claimed that this would happen, and then they whitewashed the whole situation. See, that's some tricky technology type stuff where, yeah, you had to do that to help cure and save yourself, but then you're going to whitewash the person that you had to actually go in to do this.
Mhm.
Right. They didn't even realize that some of the people when they needed they had to have and they don't even talk about this, but they actually get into it a little bit because and I don't want to mention too much about it, but when they began to talk about the Game of Thrones, when we were talking about that history and period of time, we were talking about the bastards that they were creating. These kings were creating bastards with melanated people that were passing because during that time there were plagues going on that they were not able to fight the melanated people were. But they don't talk about that and they won't give you that history.
No, they won't.
And not only that, but we can get into some esoteric situations as to where not only were they disacknowledging the fact that they were breeding with melanated people in order to create their offsprings for them to survive in their kingdoms. However, in addition to that,
They
they were
still do that
already
today.
exact
They still
okay.
do that today.
Exactly. But not only that, but they still wasn't given the props to
Well,
the what they call witches at the
not not
time where they were burning them. But
not
that's
not to cut your wisdom, but before we move on, I wanted to show these pictures of these White Walkers from Game of Thrones. And
Okay.
this is the glacier,
What you say, blonde hair, blue eyes?
the ice age where I mean, I don't know how they would survive in these colder climates like this, but they built the wall to kind of keep them out during certain cycles. And
Will,
you
can you show a picture? Can you show a picture of what the can you show a side by side picture of what the out because there this guy right here, I want you to show the side by side Neanderthal picture, please. If you could show that, I believe it'd be a great depiction of what people were able to see that it was actually these were those people. That's where I want to
so here
say it
this is
was
the Yeti.
accredited to.
I mean, this the
Right.
best. This the Yeti, the Flugeroid.
Now
Here's
they
the
said the Flugeroid or the Flugerod wasn't even originally from here.
mm, where did they come? Where they said they came from?
Pleiades.
Pleiades.
Yeah, you see all of these different, sci-fi movies. They try to touch on it. Everything is from the stars or a constellation, and they say this first group is not the group that lost its melanin. These was a whole nother group that came here like that, and they mixed in with those who lost the melanin
Mm,
first. So if you want to go to the 40,000 year and beyond point with those people, that would probably be the Flugeride.
okay. I
The
mean that
one
is
that the one that lost they melanin came a little more contemporary, under 10,000 years.
I think he
See, I think the original,
he's
like when they talk about the Neanderthal, a lot of times they might be talking about these Flugerides, but then they say the Flugerides didn't originate here. But they'll mention the Flugerides, but they don't say a lot of times where they came from. That's like a whole nother discussion outside the Caucasian or what they like the Egyptian called like the Tamahu. That's a whole different thing. And both of
so
them blonde hair and blue eye,
right,
but some of them have red hair, like
right,
the Irish.
right. And no nothing on the planet has red hair except for I think the what's the ape or orangutan.
Right.
So it's not
So it's a lot of angles at it, and and I just know that, like I said earlier, pieces to the puzzle, and then we put it all together. We might,
Stop right there, Wells. Go back. Yeah. I think they lying though, because I read that portion. I read that portion as well. And they talk, and I think that's just a way of keeping it, saying that they don't know where those people came from is just a reason. You know how they just keep the information out of the textbooks. Like there's been times where I've asked Gemini stuff and they'd be like, "Oh, we have no answer for this." Yeah.
see. That's
yeah,
why I was
they don't want
saying
to talk about this.
it gotta be a situation where the information derived from, because they wasn't really the people who writing about it. They wasn't there, right? Or their decision wasn't there. Somebody who was there has the information, and
So
somebody who.
my que- so my
Go
question so my question, just bringing it back to the people and the inheritance of the Iceman, is how have Black people adopted these Neanderthal ways, even when dealing with their women in society, and how can it be corrected if you deem it as a population as a problem?
Mm,
That's the that I know is let me say it again. If you feel these Neanderthal ways, if you believe that they affect society based on the books that we have exposure to, how is it that the Black man can step outside of those behaviorisms to rejoin society and offer Black women a better outlook?
Hmm. Um,
Well, I never really went
I
outside
was
so I've been inside of the race, and what I observed is that we we take on uh uh different images of this Western world by way of entertainment, beauty, just even just trying to survive, like you said earlier. So a lot of these men is just mimicking the same people that we getting mistreated by. And then we find somebody to mistreat, which is later on be the black woman. But later on, the black woman end up mistreating the black man. The same thing is a cycle. It's a cycle because I've seen both ends of it, and I still haven't been. I don't know what it's like to be with a European woman. I don't know nothing about that.
So my question is, if Black women are to still see Black men as leaders, and that's a question. If Black women are to still see Black men in a leadership position, then how do they do that if Black men are refusing to lead in a respectful way? Considering that this is all they have to go off of. If all and I'm going off of, you're saying all you have to go off of is white society, and I'm saying that if Black men can use that as a crutch, oh my gosh, all I know is this is how I should treat my woman. Bang them over the head, feed them some food, fuck them, get them pregnant, have a baby. If that is what you, if that is what you're saying that you see in society and in Western society, because unfortunately, what you say you're seeing in Western society, even though if I was to give the crutch to a Black man and say that's what you see in society, that's what you should do. If all you saw was bang her over the head, bust her in the butt, have a baby, and baby make my food, then I completely understand. But unfortunately, Western society doesn't show you that. It shows you that they're treating, Western society says that they treat their white women well, and that they provide, and that they
Not really,
make baby,
well.
and
That's
they
what I was saying. Did they, like I said, they
not
they couldn't
really
even
though.
they couldn't even vote. I don't understand how.
no, we're not talking about white women being able to vote. We're talking about if Black men are using white men as a staple for how they will
Okay,
conduct themselves
okay, okay.
based on society. How is it that you're still fucking up the situation when you are able to, when that's not how they're treating their women? So if white men were treating their women, disrespecting them all on social media, calling them bitches, calling them this, calling them out their name, doing all of this, not taking care of their kids, then I completely understand you, Black man. But here's the thing. We as Black women don't see that on social media and even in society. Even as I am a Black female and I can go out there, as you asked the question earlier, I can go out there and date a white man, which I have several different white men, and they have all treated me better than a Black man has, whether I'm their Black girl token or not.
Well,
Whether they consider me their Black girl, I'm gonna treat her great because she's Black and I like Black girls and it's my first one and I'm gonna treat it good. Whatever the situation is, they're still doing it. So why is it that Black men still use the excuse
I'm gonna answer
about
that.
anything else? Go ahead, I'm listening.
Answer that. And the other question should be is that if that's really the case, right?
Don't ask me a double negative question.
Well, I'm gonna get to the answer, but I'm just thinking about what you're really saying, and you saying that we're mistreating the black women, right?
Not. I'm saying that you're mistreating black women, but what I am is standing on the fact that black men are saying if black men, and this is a one thing for this is a one for one. If black men are saying that this is my role model, if a Neanderthal is your role model for how you are to treat women, but I don't see that Neanderthal treating women like that, then who's the Neanderthal? The
Okay.
Neanderthal or the black man?
The thing is if we was, you think the white man is going to give us the right cue to do the right thing and still be in control?
You, as a
Listen to what
black
I'm saying
man,
first.
had in
I'm saying that for a
2020.
reason, because I'm gonna answer the question. The reason why I'm saying
Oh, well, I didn't know it was
it
rhetorical. My bad.
is because if we was doing the right thing, right,
Hmm.
we wouldn't be having a discussion about the European.
That's not true. We would still be having this discussion about the Europeans.
No, because we wouldn't have this discussion on the level of the question you just asked because we already started doing the right thing by our women. See, we were already and in some parts of our society we do that.
The only reason we would be having that discussion is if I continuously heard the excuse of why black men disrespected black women. The only reason that I mentioned what I mentioned is because many times over I have discussions with black men and they use white men or a whiteout or a whitewash as an excuse as to why they treat black women the way that they do. But if what you're telling me is all you have is a format, I work in IT, so let me make it live for you. If the only template I have to go off of is Microsoft Edge 9.0, I can never be a 12.0 or 18.0. That's what I hear black men saying. I
Well,
hear you saying that this is what my blueprint is. This is how white men say, oh, well, white guys do this or white guys do that. If you're going off of European descent, you're saying because white men do this, that this is why you're doing
that's
that.
not
Then
what I'm
how?
saying.
I'm
That's not
not
what I'm
saying
saying.
that you're saying that. I'm not saying I don't know who you are specifically, but what I'm saying is there are many black men who use whitewash as an excuse to how they treat black women. And if you are to use a white man's excuse as to how you treat black women, then how do you explain white men treating black women? How do you explain white men treating white women better than black men treat black women and white men treating black women better than black men treat black women?
It's all
That would be my question.
it's a lot of factors in place with that.
Of course.
Yeah,
A
it's a
lot of
lot.
factor Is that a lot of factors or a lot of
It's
excuses?
not like it was a natural thing that black men started doing it because it was a time period that black men didn't do that.
Oh, well, now we're talking about where I get
Well,
the time is a factor, but at what point in time do you so I hear that a lot. What's his name? Dr. Umar speaks of it a lot when he talks about appropriations and the white man taking the black man out of society. But my question will always be to the black man is at what point in time do you stop allowing that to be an excuse? If somebody was stopping you from getting a job and you like either you're at a point in time, either you're going to give the fuck up and crash out or you're going to do something about it. So how many times are you going to sit up there and say, "Oh, it's the white man stopping me from being successful
no,
in a
I,
world of entrepreneurs?"
well, it's a lot of black entrepreneurs, and it's still not working.
I think the the ultimate, and let me see how I
Well,
want to word this.
before you go there, I'm just saying this. I hear what she's saying. What she's saying is correct, but there's definitely a lot of factors. But the factor that prevented me as an individual not to be included in that, because I don't mistreat black women. You see what I'm saying? I got a daughter, and I raised my daughter. You know what I'm saying? And it's plenty, and I'm not the only one. So the thing is, yeah, we have this here stigma through the media and other operations that's going on that's behind this activity and this behavior, which we if we want to go into another subject, we know what that really is. It's not set up for us to have a society in our best moralistic character because
That's
they know
not true. Unfortunately, I won't allow a black man to use that as an excuse because while you say you don't
why are
disrespect,
they doing all these jails and
while
everything.
you say you don't disrespect your daughter, I also, my dog also doesn't bite me. That's what that
Well, we
sounds
don't talk
like.
about
It
dogs and that.
sound
We talk about them.
and I know and I'm not trying to disrespect your child. Don't ever
No,
get me.
she's
Don't
not
ever
your
think.
child no more.
Don't ever color me the person who will be disrespectful. But you saying you don't disrespect your daughter is the same way as
I don't disrespect no black person.
somebody would ask you if you disrespect your mother. You can absolutely not
I don't
disrespect your mother or not disrespect a person that you know and
disrespect
completely disrespect a person
women, period.
that you don't know and someone you're unaware of. So therefore, you saying that you don't disrespect your daughter, are you saying that you have never disrespected a black woman? You have never mistreated a black woman?
You think all
Because
black men? Think all
we're
black
not
men disrespect black women?
I asked a simple question, not a double
No, I
negative.
haven't disrespected a black woman.
Ever?
No,
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I don't know you.
because
Thank you,
then
black man.
you can always reverse that and say, do black women
No,
disrespect?
I'm not gonna reverse anything because I believe black men disrespect black
I mean,
women
if
just the
disrespect is
same way
disrespect.
black women disrespect black men the same way black men disrespect black women. What I asked you was, did you, because you made
I
yourself
did
a
not told you
subject
that.
and you said that based on the fact that your child is a black woman that you
I
did
use that
not
as a point
disrespect
of
you
reference.
you used it as a point of reference, which
You know
makes it
why? Because
relevant. But
I'm
but
a
guess what?
producer.
Have I ever? But I'm gonna keep it real because I'm not one of them. Have I ever disrespected a black man? Absolutely. And I gave it to him because it was necessary. And it may have not had anything to do with the fact that he was black, other than the fact that he pissed me off and I disrespected him. The fact that you just told me that you don't disrespect black women and that you basically treat all black women with respect based on the fact that you have a black daughter leads me to believe that
Based
you're
on
being
the
hold
fact
on
that I got a
wait
black daughter,
leads based on the fact that what you just told me leads me to believe that you are disingenuous because you're not willing to admit to me that you have disrespected a black woman ever.
I haven't disrespected a black woman. I haven't been around that many. I'm not that type of guy that
You
jump
ain't
around.
been around that many black women.
No, if you talking about relationships,
Post, post. We
you
not
talking about
even going.
relationships, or you
We
talking about?
not.
Are you
No,
talking about
no, no, no.
relationships?
I digress.
Let me ask
I
you. I'm saying,
digress.
are you talking about
All right,
relationships, or are you talking about
let's bring it back.
women in general?
I'm going
Let me
somewhere.
finish the question because I'm trying to get to the point of it. When I'm saying disrespect women, I don't go around purposely disrespecting women. That's what I'm trying to say.
I feel like you're being disingenuous,
All right,
and I
How is that?
digress.
let me read
Well,
something from this.
I just want
How is that?
Well, go ahead, go ahead. Hold on, Pope.
There's a genuine men that don't go around disrespecting women. Period. And
Hold on, Pope.
really, they don't really disrespect people. Period.
Somebody got something to say. Hold on, Pope.
Brother Hart, I just want to say to speak on, if it's getting personal, as far as like, Brother Pope's character. I've known Brother Pope for a long time, and I've never seen him disrespect a woman or a black man in that regard. You know what I mean? He's very respectful, very humble, as far as I've been knowing this brother. You know what I mean? So as far as like with this conversation, I don't understand it. I really don't. It seems like
And that's completely understandable, Mr. Harp. I don't know you. But I've had a previous conversation over a year ago with Mr. Polk, and I don't know if he remembers quite the conversation that we had, in which it leads me to believe that he's disrespectful and unreasonable. I've actually had a conversation with him.
Just because we
And
disagree,
so,
don't mean we
and
don't
we can
disagree.
have that, and we can have that on a separate
Right,
and we can have that
we talk
discussion on
about
a
that
separate
later.
conversation.
I think y'all
Yeah,
had a
but you just
disagreement.
brought
I
it
think that
up.
was a
You just brought it
disagreement.
up.
I think that was a
See, to
disagreement.
me, it's like this. We can always have a conversation, but we don't always have to agree. If I'm not really personally I might disagree with your information, but I'm not disrespecting you. See, there's a difference. I don't go around trying to say I had many of these type of conversations where, it got little hype, but I'm not disrespecting the person. We just having the disagreement in the information, and that happens. Now, if I get to the point where I dislike you, but then I don't know you that well to dislike you, yeah, you're gonna know that part. But I try to avoid that at all costs. I try to
Poke
avoid that.
is Poke is nothing personal. It's just the
No,
fact that, and it has to do with and just to round it up, it has to do with, I believe that we all, including myself, have gotten out of line when it comes to what someone can consider respect or disrespect. If that's fair, can we say that's fair? Can we
I'm
say the lines of disrespect and respect lie within the individual as well? And that sometimes that can happen amongst men and women.
yeah.
all the time.
So,
Yes.
so, so, if you're referring to the conversation that we had a year ago, we didn't agree, right? And you felt like I disrespect you. I never thought you
No,
disrespected me. I just thought we just
Poke, you
ain't.
didn't. Poke, we didn't. No. Pause. We're gonna have this conversation later. That has nothing to do with anything.
All right,
What
let's
I'm
No, no,
let's
saying,
no.
if
You
we're
mentioned that
if
we had a
we're
conversation last year.
if we're gonna bring it in, as far as men and women go, as far as disrespect happens amongst people all the time. And that is, I want to say, that is at the discretion of the individual at
Okay.
that time, and the nature of what they're feeling. But what I do feel as though is that, um, just to reel it back in, that many times the white men, when it comes to black men respecting black women, I don't think we see enough of that. And a lot of times I see not only Dr. Umar, but I see a lot of black men saying that they don't see respect from black women, therefore they don't give it. And I disagree with that, because they don't even respect their mothers. And that's where the respect
That's the
starts.
thing. That's the
And that's
thing.
where,
I get what you're saying, but on experience, on my personal experience, to show you how much I have respect for women, I didn't get the respect from the woman that I had my children with, and I didn't do nothing disrespectful to her. I just got away. I just got away. But in that case, see, it's all types of scenarios that you can go into that where these different personal things went on with people in general.
but
So
we're
yeah,
not talking, but Poke, we're not talking about personal things. We're talking about
you say
overall. Oh,
disrespect is
let
always
me,
personal.
no, we stepped away from that. Let me give you a basic example of what I'm talking about. So in our modern day society, black men are very comfortable with not taking care of their children. Very
Yeah,
comfortable.
sounds
Well,
good.
hold on, hear me out. Hear me out.
go
Black
finish it, wrap it up
men.
so we can go
All
ahead.
right, good.
Okay,
Go ahead, let
yeah,
her wrap
black
it up.
men here in a lump sum, black men are very comfortable with not taking care of their black offspring, unless they come from a mixed family, or if they're a mulatto or something else. You see it all the time. They be like, "Yeah, my baby mom Puerto Rican, this, that, and the third." You see the football players, they get the random baby moms pregnant, and they're of whatever race, but they're never excited to have those black women as their baby moms, and it's completely disrespectful. oh, but they never go ahead and bring it back. Like, oh, even though my mom's black, even though this happens, none of them bring that back to the respect level. There's no respect for the black woman. And the only thing that I'm saying is based on the book. These men in this book are absolute savages.
So the black
Absolute.
man is the real Iceman now.
I
You
mean,
said it, not you said
so
it,
did
not
they?
me.
So
No,
okay, so
what's
bring it
going
back to
on?
the book. Have we taken on
Hello,
a Western mindset?
hello.
No, no, I'm just
Oh,
saying.
wait, what you say, Will?
I'm
No, no,
just
no,
saying.
no. What did he say,
But my
Will?
my my my
But
answer to that, I seen both sides of it. I seen where men take care of their families and everything, and I seen those who just more modernly. I seen more just doing that with their children. But in the past, I seen a lot of families that had families, full families, mothers and fathers, and the whole full family. So
But
probably
you're saying, but are you
Hey,
saying,
Steve,
Pope, that that is the
let
norm?
hold on. Let
it was the
Steve
Go
norm
finish
ahead,
his
then.
Will.
say.
Go ahead, Will. Go.
Hold on, go
Go
ahead,
ahead, go
Steve.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Steve, I think
yeah, yeah,
Steve was
yeah.
trying to get something in there.
No, I was gonna say something, but go ahead. I'm listening. I was looking at
No, I'm
something.
saying at a
No,
point
no,
in
no. Go
time,
ahead, Steve, because
black
I
family,
was going.
the
Hold on,
black
Pope.
families were solid at one time. If that level of what she's talking about then wasn't as great as it is now. Yeah, it do exist, but it's time periods where that wasn't really
We're
a
not
major.
talking about them. We talking about
Well, hold
now.
on.
Are we going to talk
No,
about?
I'm
Are we
talking about
going
in
to talk
general.
about
Let's
1500? Go ahead.
let's
I'm
move. All
saying
right,
if you
Pope. Let's
asking
move
me, do
on.
go ahead, go ahead, go
All
ahead.
right, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say earlier on, I was telling you guys about me coming from Guyana, and I used to watch men hit women, and then now I'm a grown man. I don't do that. I challenge some of those men, even when I went home, and when I ask them, like, why would you do that? That make you a coward. And I'm talking about family member too. They look at me and say, like, what do you mean? I said, but you're not supposed to put your hands on a woman. But do you know what a woman do to me? So some of them have some kind of um, reason why they did it, while others say, well, it was perpetuated to them, meaning that they saw their father did it, so they did it, and so forth and so forth. The reason why I'm saying this is because we came out of slavery, and that was given to us. That was given to us by beating black men in front of black women. I'm talking about Guyana.
Same
So,
here, same thing
with
here.
that being said, who was doing the whipping was the European to discipline when they didn't pick enough cotton, when they didn't do all this. So that Western mentality passed down in a way of like epigenetic, if you want to say that, all the way down even today. Even some of these men today in America who never seen that, it's something about it make the act that way. And I don't think most men, because the percentage what you was talking about, black men don't take care of the kids, that is not true. That's a stereotype, hogwash stuff on you see in the news. But the percentage is so much higher. 86% of married black people in America still stay married. And probably a little higher. But we don't see those news. We don't see those good things. We see the bad things.
Right.
You
I
know what
can
I mean?
believe.
So to me, I have a different outlook of it. I just don't take people word for it. I've been married for 22 years. 22 years. Yeah. 2 boys, 2 kids. Never cheat on my wife, never have intention doing so. But I learned from what, like I said, my peers growing up, watching them do certain things. And I said I would never do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I never really based it on what society did. I based it on what I want for myself. And I think the more become more educated is the more realize that is the way to be, to understand self. And once you grow within self, I think to me, nature take over. And when I mean nature, I'm talking about my ancestors and guiding me all the way. And I'm not talking about God or I'm talking about some more spiritual. So that's what I believe in. And if we start following these patterns or letting ourselves become who we truly are, we were able to be a better people overall.
Shout out to him. Yes, Steve. I'm sorry. I had to give you a clap because I love that. I'm sorry. I love that.
Yeah,
And
that's
I agree. I
Now, real
agree.
quick, let me say something. I have to say, when I first came to the United States, I was timid to talk to black girls because you guys was aggressive to me. But you guys wasn't aggressive, just as way the culture was. But I'm coming from women talk a certain way, girls talk a certain way, they act a certain way. But when I came over, I shy away. Like the way they would talk kind of scare me. But I'm not saying it's something bad now that I come to understand the culture. I understand it fully. But people coming from a foreign country could take that as a,
Aggressive.
yes,
And that's
very
con-
aggressive.
and that is definitely completely understandable. I like to be transparent with people. That is something I get a lot. No matter how sweet I am, because I can't understand how a billion people in a day want to come up and talk to me. But when somebody talks to me, they say I'm aggressive. I prefer you don't talk to me at all. I really don't want to talk to you. I really like to mind my business and stay to myself, but people do what they want to do. I do hear from a lot of guys when it comes to dating that American women are more aggressive. Should I say American Black women are aggressive because and I don't know what other I don't want to speak for other women, but me, the reason why I'm aggressive is I'm from Philadelphia. I'm from Philadelphia where I don't have no protection. I didn't grow up with a father. I didn't have a father in my life who would protect me from certain things, guard me, and shield me. I had a mother who would do those things for me. So when it comes to being aggressive, I am aggressive on purpose. And I actually heard this portion of what I'm about to say from a Black man is when he hears that his mother is aggressive, he understands that that woman had to be aggressive for a reason. She raised four boys, and she had to raise four boys in a household with no man, and she had to be the mother and the father, and she had to be the aggressor, and she had to be a number of things that she was not prepared to be. Me personally, I'm not prepared to be a protector. That's not what I was groomed to be. That's not what I was born to be. So when I get on the bus or the L or the SEPTA system or any public transportation, and these men are constantly about to hit me or be aggressive to me because they're mad because I don't want to take their number. I can tell a man no. To this day, literally, I asked a man to leave me alone when I was at the store. And unless I had, this is not 1956 where I'm walking to the store with my daddy or my brother or my uncle or my cousin. I can walk to the store by myself and I tell a man, no, I don't want to be bothered. And he doesn't care. He will hit me. He will punch me.
Huh?
He will abuse me.
No,
He will walk me all the way down to the point where he forces his number on me. If he doesn't force himself to me, women are being raped. Women are on the L being abused. Women are on the L and out in public being assaulted. So when a man says to me, "Oh, you black women are aggressive," or "You black women are, so the way that you are, however you see me, is my environment. Please don't judge me
well,
so harshly.
you can tie that back to the book. I mean,
Absolutely.
are we judging the
My
Caucasus,
So,
the Neanderthal or
we
the
could be.
Caucasoid too harshly? I mean, they pretty much came down and built the
And so that's
ass.
why I asked the question in the beginning when we begin to have this conversation, which happened first? Were they already alienated and sent off because they were ostracized, or were they the people who went up there on their own and then they came down and this is the behaviorisms they had as a result? And that's why it matters which came first, the chicken or the egg. If you sent them up there and you decided to ostracize them and do like you did with black people, then we are just as wrong. We sent them up into these mountains, said, fuck you, get out of here. Be over
That
there. We don't like you. You're hairy. You're Neanderthals. You look weird. I don't like it. Ugh. If we did that and we sent them off and then they came back, and as a result of them coming back and they were these animals, then we should have more compassion. But if what happened was they were already these beings, then we need to check, that we learn from the, because my question is, did we learn from them? Because black men are saying that they learn from them. They're
I'm
saying
only
that these,
I won't
that's
say
what I'm
Well,
learn.
hearing.
I
I'm
won't
only
say
talking
learn.
from a slavery
they-
perspective. I'm not talking about historic. I mean historically from before slave. I'm talking about like after slave. Like I said, I have conversation with a lot of people, and I'm asking them that question, like, what make you act this way? And just that pretty much they don't have a culture. I would say here in America, you guys don't have a culture to
You're
say
right.
this is what was passed down to me from this and this and this. And not everybody, but majority of the guys I talk to, they don't really
Hmm.
have that. What's the culture? You celebrate everything United States celebrate. So what is your culture? Like, literally, like I have a culture, and I'm from a
Yeah.
foreign country. So when I look at the culture, although I celebrate that culture, I tell people I don't have a culture because that's what they give me. But at
Hmm.
least I'm over there and I know some of the culture come from India because I have Indian in my system.
Well,
But
that's
America,
And
this.
like, what culture do you actually have that is says yours that black men could turn to and say, well, I could learn from this. This is who I am. I'm going to be
a
this.
sense of belonging.
Well, who? So now you gotta ask the question: Who? One, what culture is here in America? You can say Western culture, but they have
What
taken.
culture?
They have named a lot of the things you think is white American culture. Is just they just flipped it and took it. The holy days, certain sacred months. Uh, I don't really know what you. I mean, if you're referring to the holidays and stuff, the foods
Yeah, yeah,
maybe.
like the holidays.
I don't
I mean,
know.
and even with like
So if
the
you
whole
if you if
matrimony
you
stuff.
if you get into the book and you get into 13 tribe and chosen people from the Caucasus Mountain, they was grunting. They really couldn't speak. Arthur Koestler talks about the Muslims that had problems translating certain edicts and treaties. They would come to the table and they would eat their lice. They would eat their lice out of their hair. The woman would be naked, the man would be naked, and they were the last. They protected Europe from the invasions, so they had to build treaties with them. But they had no culture. They had no holidays. They had no names. He said pretty much, you're looking at our culture all around the world. They just flipped it. We're trying to find something, but we're missing the culture right in front of us that's telling us this is your science, this is your culture, this is your language. Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, the Iroquois nation speaking I forget what they spoke.
Algonquin.
Algonquin,
Algonquin.
Algonquin. Right, you're looking at it. They're just masking it they're just whitewashing it. And we don't know what the heck is going on. We looking at everything trying to find something, but it's right in front of us.
But they
It's like,
put a spin and demonized all of that. You already know they put it. It's not exactly our. It is ours because nothing else exists but us, really. But they put a spin on what they got from us,
that's
and
what I'm
they
saying.
and
But how do
they
we gain that
demonized,
back?
huh?
How do we gain that back?
Well, part of the thing is what we doing now. But the thing is that we can't attack each other along the way to get to that point because there's enough of that going on already. You know what I'm saying? Now, see, it's not really about emotionalism so much. You take the ones that's willing to work with you and leave the rest alone. That's all. Eat the meat and spit out the bones. Like everybody ain't gonna be on board. You're gonna have the knuckle draggers. Get away from the knuckle draggers and let them be along with the real Neanderthal and let them live each other in that
Mhm.
culture. And we go and be in nature and do what we gotta do. That's it.
But could we do it here in
I mean,
America?
it can be done here, but it probably be difficult because these people are trying to maintain what they got here. And really, they trying to do that even in Africa. They trying to really they want to control everything.
Well, they're already controlling everything. whether we like it or not.
But one thing I always hear my cousins talk about, I always hear Will talk about it, is from mouth to ear. And so if that's something that is true, that would be something to be the first teachings that you do with your children. With
But
the first teachings you do with your family,
Start at home.
and the first things you do with what we're doing right here is from mouth to ear. And
Well, one,
so you from mouth to ear, it has actually, I guess, transcended, because now we don't just have to do it from mouth to ear for somebody you know. Now we have YouTube. Now we have platforms in which you can spread the same said knowledge so people can have that information. That's where it would start.
I would say it's definitely start with the woman. I mean, there's no way around that. To bring
I'm gonna
something
tell
to
you,
life, it's got to start there.
I hear
And
what you're saying, Will, but I don't believe it starts with women. I believe it's going to start with the men, because it can't start with the women. Nobody is willing to listen to women because the patriarch is already in effect. The woman can talk all the live long day and nobody will ever listen to us. And we've seen that because we've seen society. But if a man would be willing to subject himself to that type of scrutiny, that might
okay,
do something.
let me
But
rephrase. Yeah,
there's
let me
not a lot of
rephrase
men who are
that.
willing to do that.
It starts with the left. I guess the left brain, the logic and the analytical. Uh, what was how I want to word this? We have to look at it in the I guess planning for the future, and it can't. It's not dealing with like nature and I guess I'm gonna word this. I agree. It does start with the man looking at something, the perspective from us, and saying, "Listen, we got to fix this." But I'm saying we got to look at it to fix that vessel that's bringing life into this planet and start there. Not saying it
So we
starts
have to
with,
protect that 100%.
yeah.
It's holistic. It's a balance. Like it's a holistic balance. That's why when you see in Kemet, it's always the mother, the father, and the son or the child.
100%. Yeah.
It's the three. So it's a holistic situation. It's a balance. But when the balance get out of order, you get emotionalism, and now people don't want to know how to get things back into order and into balance. So I try to do my part where the things that I learned and certain things came naturally, where like the discussion we had a little earlier, certain things I just knew not to do. And I seen like Steve said, I seen some of those things going also, but I knew like, nah, that's not the way to do stuff. And I'm sure a lot of men feel like that, but we still need that balance. We need the help of the woman, and we need the women need the help of the men to work together. And then we teach the children.
And that's essentially what he's saying in his book. You need the indigenous human family to come together to fix this problem.
Wow.
He says that he doesn't say it that, but he says that when they came in and they mixed with the human family, this is when we started to have these problems.
You see, you got to remember when this was going on and these people try to come down, Egypt had border laws. They wasn't even allowed to come in here.
Well,
They
he
wasn't even
mentions
allowed to
that
come back.
they came in about 1500 BC and they wasn't
Right.
prisoners of war, but they had like a settlement. And that's when they started to mix in. And then around six,
They
I
kind of
forget.
bribed themselves in through the Ptolemies, basically.
Well,
They
that's later
bribed
on. Later on, yeah, during like the third
right.
century, third and fourth century, after
But
Alexander the
prior
Great.
prior to the dynastic period, those people wasn't even allowed. They was considered barbaric. They wasn't even allowed to come in there. They didn't even want to mix with them no more. So we know that at some point that they knew that it was something different from them that might have caused a problem, even if they mixed with them.
Well,
But then
also they
later
say
on,
that the Wall of China.
oh
Well,
yeah,
some
the same thing
speculate
with
the
that.
Wall of China was for them.
It's the same scenario, and everybody on the planet now still knows that. They just not, is like you said, mouth to ear. Is the people in the higher up know these things about these certain groups of people, and for some reason they cater to them because that's the mechanism. That beast like attitude is the mechanism to get things done. So yeah, you want to have that warrior type of energy to get things done, but at the same time, you can't be just 100% warrior like. You have to have the balance where you have an understanding. Be warrior like when it's necessary, and have understanding when when that's necessary. Like we got to bring balance into the whole thing now. Everything is kind of separated, and it's not going to work if we're going to be attacking each other. Because if we attacking each other, it's going to serve somebody else more than it's going to serve us. That's all I can say about that. And the same thing like these young kids now, they killing each other. That means they don't have to do it. They don't have to do it no more. They let the guns come in, and and the kids is doing the work for them. That's all. And it's by design. But see, if it's by design, then the person who has the design is more demonic than the people who actually doing it. Because the kids don't know that it's by design. They just doing it because they think it's the thing to do. Or it probably is a self-hatred attitude that they got down in the genes through slavery. One of the two. Or a combination of both.
Let me
So
read
I try
this.
to avoid those things, like that type of, mentality. I try to work with women. Well, they're not on the line now, but two of the women that I work with the most is the ones that was on the line. I constantly building with them all the time, constantly, and
Let
they
me
they just they got families and everything. I don't try to talk to them trying to get any draws or nothing. I'm talking to them because we trying to build.
let me read this real quick, Pope, because it's kind of getting into what you were saying. We read in our history textbooks that Western history began with ancient Egyptian civilization. This is the common misconception that they try to say that they were Egyptians. At certain periods, they might have been in Egypt. I don't know if it was a lot of them, but
They were.
uh, right. So in every such text, there is an introductory chapter to the land of the pharaohs. Yet the civilization of ancient Egypt was not a Western Caucasoid achievement. The evidence from the anatomy of mummies, the testimony of fossil skeletal material, and the witness of the Egyptian art all agree that the ancient Egyptian civilization was a multi-racial achievement during certain periods. But he kind of just says that. Then he says the ancient Egyptian population was composed of a mixture of Caucasoid, Capoid, and Negroid elements. We cannot claim the civilization of the Nile as ours. It was not wholly Caucasoid, perhaps not even mostly Caucasoid. But then he talks about this time period when they came in. He says we must remember that the end of the last glacial period may be dated to about 40,000 BP. I'm not sure what that stands for, but that Europe
Before Christ.
before Christ.
You
No,
said BP or BC?
BP.
My bad.
Yeah,
Never mind.
before something. But that Europe experienced very bitter and variable weather until the onset of the truly warm climate, which set in about 8,000 B. Now this is BC. It is only to this late date that the Scandinavian glaciers melted away completely. From the end of the Worm One until the final melt of the continental glaciers, Western Eurasia supported Neanderthal Caucasoid stock, but only a small population. And then he goes on to say hunter-gatherer way of life, but he says 1500 BC was when they came down into Egypt. It was a critical mass of sorts has been reached. Uh, Southern Russia and Caucasoid Mountains began to send forth waves of Western people. These people began to invade the area of the Mediterranean basin where the Egyptian civilization had long been established. By about 1500 BC, the Egyptians began to record the invasions of sea peoples, Indo-European speakers who had migrated down the coast of Palestine. Now, this might have been years after the whole Dravidian Eurasia.
And that's what I was about to get into, because prior to the chapters that you're reading, they're already talking about that those people had an opportunity to come down, and by the time that they began to come down, that they were already in the church by then.
They was mixing. Yeah, they was mixing already with
They
the
was already
India.
like, by the time by the time these people came down, shit was already going. Things were already going on, and the church was already happening. So you want to? It's just I don't know. I don't believe
What,
that that
what,
had
what, what,
a
what,
play
what,
on things.
what was the time period again? Because I missed that. The time
15,
period.
1500
8,000.
B 15. Well, the ice started to melt around 8000 BC. It says Europe experienced very bitter and variable weather until the onset of the truly warm climate, which set in about 8000 BC. The ice started to melt away completely. Western Eurasia supported Neanderthal and Caucasoid stock, but only a small population. And then it says they existed from the end of the worm period, but their population did not reach a level permitting expansion in force until about 1500 BC. This is when they came down. The Russia and the Caucasus Mountains began to send forth waves of Western people. These people began to invade the area of the Mediterranean basin where the Egyptian civilization had long been established.
But
By
by
the
this time, I want you to keep in mind that Christopher Columbus had already sailed the ocean blue. Okay, so they already began their lives
no no
1,500
about
no BC. So Christopher Columbus came.
BC.
Yeah,
Hold
yeah, yeah,
on,
BC.
I'm in the book. Hold on, I'm about
What
to say
page
I'm
is
in the
this?
book. What page are you on?
141. So he
And
I'm
talking like
quick,
2000
man. Y'all
years.
have a good night, man. I'm gonna have to cut it
Yeah,
short with y'all, man. I appreciate
yeah.
dealing with y'all. I'm
Okay.
gonna holler at y'all later. All right.
Okay.
Peace,
All right,
All right.
Art.
brother. All
Yeah,
right,
peace,
peace.
peace. All right.
Peace,
I'm
bro.
probably about to close it down myself.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm probably gonna close it.
we can wrap it up. But this well, real quick. This is when they came down, the sea peoples and these Indo-Europeans, uh, the migrants not recorded until unknown archaeologists, long established empires crumble under pressure from the newcomers. These are the Hyksos or the Tamahu that the Egyptians talk about that came in around this.
Right. So that's 1500 BC, right?
Right.
And see, that's what I'm saying. Prior to that, they wasn't. They see somewhere along the line they had a weakness through in fight because when they were stronger, those people wasn't even allowed to come through in Kenya. They had what they call border laws. They already knew about these people. They knew that these people was there, so they wasn't just letting them in. But as time went on, through their own little infighting, because that's always the case. Even when you talk about in Spain and all that, the infighting allow for mixing and all of these other things. And so now the original laws are like dwindling.
Right.
And now these people are coming in, the Hyksos, and later on, like I said, the Ptolemies. But yeah, the Hyksos is the one, but they wasn't the original Tamahu though. They called them Tamahu, but the Tamahu was the ones that they took up there first.
These were the right. These were the ones that mixed in
Yeah, they
later
came
on.
down,
They came down. Right.
right? And they called all of those lighter people Tamahu. But the original definition of the Tamahu they call it is the created white man. So who created them? That's why I asked: was they normally up there, or was they taken up there? So if they was taken up there, why and what caused the condition for them to leave, for them to be taken up there? See, a lot of that is explained in the Egyptian documents, but I don't know if it's explained all in this book right here.
Nah.
Because they took them up there, and Thutmose went up there he took some of them out. See, prior to them coming down, they took some of them out to educate them. So there was compassion because some of them they felt like and this is where the whole Jewish thing coming at, because those are the people later on, like this is now later on into AD time that converted over into Judaism. They just considered the ones that are supposed to be the most intelligent, you know, Caucasians on the planet. They the one that got those same Egyptian laws, in which later on the Christianity through the Greeks and the Romans got. So really, all of them is really like the same family, but they took portions of the information and went with it in in different ways. But yeah, the Hyksos came down, and later on, and how you verify that is because that whole Yakub story that they talk about.
Mhm.
It's three Hyksos kings that had that name. Yakub. It was three of them.
What time period? What time period was that?
The Hyksos. When the Hyksos came down.
Oh, you're saying coming in Egypt. Okay.
Yeah, it's three kings that had the name Jacob or Yakub.
Well, the story, they say Jacob and his mom tricked their dad for their brother's birthright.
Right.
And the language they use, I forgot how it well, go ahead, because I can't
Well,
remember the whole.
the story is that Isaac was blind. The dad was blind,
Right.
and he wanted this like it's like a soup or a porridge, and Esau knew how to make it. Now Esau's name was originally Edom, which is in Hebrew the same name as Adam.
Right.
Okay, he wanted the soup from Esau, but Rebecca, the mother, wanted Jacob to get it. So she kind of dressed him up. Act your family's dreams and she tried to dress him up to make himself appear to be Jacob because the dad didn't know, but I think she did something like put hair on him or something. So if Isaac went to go touch him, she would think that it was Esau, something to that matter. But either way, Jacob ended up getting the birthright. So this is what the whole thing is all about. When you go back in the Genesis, is the good seed and the bad seed. The bad seed eventually gets the birthright.
Right.
However you want to look at it, white, black, good, bad, whatever. The other seed end up getting the birthright. And this is where the transition where these Caucasians eventually start learning the information of whether they stole it or they was taught it, or might be a combination of both. They started taking over the birthright and saying like, we are them and they are us. And so later on in modern times that we got now, we acting like more like they were acting now, like they was back then. Like she was
Hmm.
mentioning earlier, how are we doing this and that? That's more of their attitude and the way they live. So I'm looking at it from that Egyptian perspective when these things was happening in pre-dynastic times, like that might be that 40,000 year period where they wasn't in the ice age down in the Sahara region,
Hmm.
and something happened then that caused this to happen with these people that started losing their melanin, which in the Bible they call leprosy. Like, and if you're looking at Ham, Ham is Kim or Kemet, and the curse was supposed to be on Cam's descendancy. It wasn't really
Hmm.
on Ham. A lot of people say the curse was to Ham. They don't say curse is Ham. It say the descendants, which they say later on was Canaan. And when you read about Canaan, he was the one that was the leper. He was losing his skin complexion. And then
Ah, okay.
and then you get in the book of Numbers, they used to count the people who had the spots in their skin.
Who started? Wait, hold up. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, I'm just going to document this at this point in time,
So
but
again, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, well, was this the precursor? Because this is what a lot of people say.
That's what I was getting into. Go ahead and get into it.
Some that gene was showing up in our society.
Not then, but even now, because we still see a precursor, if that's what we're going to call it, in society. Is it not when we see black people losing their melanin? What is that? What's the
That
degenerate?
disease,
Yeah,
um,
when they lose their skin color.
right?
The Bible was calling it leprosy.
They
They
got
were
they
calling it leprosy, but what the? I don't know. I really don't know what it is.
I
It
forget what
was
I
it's
forget the
called.
name of it. Hold on. Let's get the.
But vitiligo, is that
I'm
it?
not sure.
Look, it is. it's not. That's not how you pronounce it, but
Says when when pigment producing cells
yeah, that's
die
it.
out and stop working,
Let it go. It's not. It's not. Send me the what's the name? That's not even that. But
something, but
that is it though.
they develop white patches on their skin. It
Mm-hmm.
can affect people of any race. I don't know how, but it is more noticeable on the darker skin races of the planet.
Well, see, that's like in the book
Then
of
a
Numbers.
Lago.
Oh,
The
yeah, vitiligo.
book of Numbers, they were speaking about that, and they would count the people who was of the original tribe or the pure blood, and the ones that had the spots. The ones whose spots had to leave out, get out. This is the tribe of Judah
So start over and say it again.
in the book of Numbers. Well, let's go back to Genesis because it really kind of start there with the mother Eve, who had Cain and Abel. She's supposed to have been talking to the serpent, right? And the serpent
Mhm.
is communicating with her, and it says that it would be enmity between the woman and that serpent seed, the woman seed and the serpent seed. So now they're talking about two seeds. So that later goes down where you see Cain and Abel. One was the good one and one was the bad one. Then later on it comes down to Isaac. I mean, well, you can say Isaac and Ishmael, but see, they kind of push Ishmael aside because he wasn't supposed to be a part of the uh the Hebraic side of the family. He was the Egyptian side of the family because of his mother Hagar. So they didn't even regard him. But they went with Isaac, and Isaac had his two sons, and they were twins. So now the mother, I'm not sure where Rebecca came from, what tribe, but looked like she must have had some type of deviant situation going on because she tricked her own husband, right? So Jacob could
Get
get
the
the birthright.
birthright.
So to me, right now, a lot of people be talking about the Edomite, the Edomite, the Hebrew Israelites talk about Edom or Esau being the evil one. But how is he the evil one if he got tricked out of the birthright and then Jacob later on called himself, changed his name to Israel, and we see what's going on now with these people who took over a whole landmass, named it Israel, killing everybody like crazy, took over the financial system, took over everything, entertainment, media, everything. And they admit to it. I got so much information in them saying they know they Satanists. They know they took everything over. They know they not the real Jews, but they doing it anyway to fulfill a prophecy. So they really trying to get the prophecy and the birthright of the original seed and make it work for them, which is not going to really work for them, but they believe it will. So they doing everything possible to do these things, have these wars, build the third temple that's over there. They want to blow up the Dome of the Rock, put the third temple there. They said that they already had the sign of that. While the three cows that they had in Texas somewhere, that's what would be the sign of them rebuilding the third temple. I think they supposed to have took these
They
cows.
started they started building that temple. It's been building. They started building it.
Yeah. So, but the signal for it was supposed to be these when once these three cows was grown enough, they were to take them over there, and I think they supposed to do the sacrifice with them. And they just started doing that like maybe a week ago. They took them over there, and that's supposed to be the whole. But this, what I'm saying is that these people, I think the way they trying to say it really originated with us, but they broke away that something disturbed their genetics that caused the pigmentation to change and a whole cellular structure where they became a whole different type of people. And the scientists of that time tried to straighten it out, but it got to the point where they just said, look, we're going to get them out of the society and then we'll deal with them from afar because they kept sending people up there like Thutmose and the way the Bible said it was Abraham and Moses, two different times that they went up there to try to, straighten some of those people out.
But they say Moses had to create a ring of fire because they was trying to eat him. That's that's what they say. I
I
ain't see
mean,
it. He said they
I didn't
tried
see
to
that
eat him,
part of the
so he had to
Bible, but
create like he had to sleep in a ring of fire.
I didn't see that in the Bible, but I wouldn't
It's
say I
not in the Bible.
yeah. Yeah, I would say I could believe that, but
Not biblically,
like,
but
but see
Not
this.
like a biblical ring of fire, but like he probably. I'm thinking that Moses sat and he created a fire pit around himself and sat in the middle.
probably.
Like, let's
Yeah.
be. I like to keep things like realistic. Like my man's didn't create this ring of fire, and it was just like wow. It was just like nah. Um,
He probably
and
had like
and,
a
and forgive me if I'm wrong, but didn't they do the same thing in the Vikings? Will when they believed that the people were coming to get them because they were like trying to attack the people, they literally slept in the middle of the fire. I believe it was the woman.
I don't
I
remember
would have
that.
to get this. I would have to get the season, but literally, she slept in a ring of fire. But I don't think that it was.
Mm.
He probably slept in a ring of fire, so like you would know. The same way you would sleep, like a lot of the times when they tell these stories, oh yeah, I slept in a protected ring. If you sleep in a protected ring means that if I'm in a ring of salt, and this is hypothetically speaking, I'm in a ring of salt and my ring of salt is not doing that something, you're gonna have to come through here and it's gonna burn. And if I'm in a ring of fire, it's gonna burn if you come over here. So you gonna be like, ah! Little.
Hmm. Hmm.
If you come over here, so I'm gonna know you. I'm gonna know you here when you get there. That's
Hmm.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was something. But real quick to go before we wrap it up, in Game of Thrones, I know because y'all mentioned Game of Thrones, when you talk about the Song of Fire and Ice
Mm-hmm.
and from mouth to ear, that story was passed down from king to queen of these cycles where the White Walkers come and they come from behind the wall and they go to war with the inhabitants of those seven islands. The only thing that could kill these White Walkers was the Black Stone. So you have the Song of Fire and Ice, and you have a island that produces black stone where the inhabitants will carve it out as
Isn't that like
spears.
some kind of esoteric thing? Didn't you guys talk about a black stone when it comes to like masonry?
Uh, I mean that's yeah. I mean
It's kind of like an Islamic concept,
the
more so.
shrine, but it's attached to it.
Yeah,
Okay,
But
well maybe I'm wrong. Okay, go ahead, continue.
but no, I was just throwing that out there in the show and also in the mythological history. You have a Song of Fire and Ice that correlates to the Song of Fire and Ice in the show that has a black stone that they use to kill the White Walkers that come across the mount across from the colder climate area where it's frozen and take it how you want it. But if you see something there,
well, I didn't really watch the Game of Thrones that much,
Yeah, me neither.
so
they lay it out, man. I mean, there's more stuff in there that they talk about. So
yeah. Well, I just say like when we dealing with this type of subject, it's probably a lot more angles. I would take a book like that there and do comparative study with different books that's on that subject. That's how I would do that and see how it lines up with everything because everybody's not going to give you a full thing in one book. So you got to do like multiple books. So if it was me, I would say like, all right, we're going to take books on this subject, right, and compare notes on what we got from different books and see how it matches up and see what
So do
part.
you so do you have any books that you would suggest that would align with this subject?
Well, it's quite a few of them out, but I think anything off the top of my head, I have to I had to look, make sure that it do really line
Well,
up.
I mean, I don't know what everybody else was getting from this subject, but what I hope that people would conclude or begin to triculate their mind to is how Western society has affected our Black community in such a way that, we've lost respect for each other. And I know that's a lot to digest, but that's what it is. Um, if Black America is saying, if Black America says, and this is just from me, this is me summing in total a number of things. So don't think I just took one thing and just put it together. This is a number of things. If if what I am understanding from Black America is that we as Black people have been hindered so much that we only are able to replicate what white society has to offer to our women as they do their women, then I would expect the same. If you don't, then I expect better. Example is that if what you're saying is that white society has held us down and has created such a passageway that we cannot operate within society, that we have to be this way, that white society, we don't have an America that in which allows us to grow or to do on our own. If as Black men are, if our Black men of society are saying that, then at the bare minimum, I'm expecting you to do the same as the bare minimum as white men. And I understand that that can be a lot to digest. I suggest you get the reading. But there's no reason in the world for Black men to continuously to disrespect Black women the way that they do and just say it's because of some degenerate person saying that, oh, you can come into the household because of uh what is it, socioeconomics, such as food stamps and things like that that happened in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. If that's what you're saying that you have a replication of and that you can only operate within that, then it's my understanding that you would do the same as the white men would do in the same predicament, because there are white people who are on welfare. So if you feel as though the bare minimum that you can offer white Black women is whatever white men can ever give to white women, then I expect you to do that. But Black men, what I'm seeing is they're not even able to do that. And if you're talking about cultural society as to them being still incarcerated, unfortunately, I can't agree to it. Western society says that even though that these the inheritance of the Iceman are there and these Neanderthal ways are present, only thing that these Neanderthal ways unfortunately are presenting is the fact that white men, even in their Neanderthal ways, can still provide for their white women when Black men can't. And that's
Okay.
what
Peace.
and that's my take on the book, that no matter what happened in the inheritance of the Iceman, that these white men in Western society are still able, even with having the history, because we got this history of being abused and being slaves and being a multiple source of things. Even with that happening, they are still able to provide and be respectful for their women. I question, why can't Black men?
Okay.
I
All
just
right,
think
Pope.
that
You want
there
to
are
close? Hold on, wait,
black.
Steve. Hey, Steve,
I just
you
think that,
Yeah,
go
want
what's
ahead.
to
up?
you want to say something before we close it out?
No, 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 no. I'm just looking up some more information because I want to continue this next
Oh,
I
you want
need
to
to
run it
read the
back?
book a little more, so
Okay.
I'll be a little more informed.
Okay.
And I want to make some comparison notes
I'm about
too.
to say, because they get into a lot of other things that we didn't touch base on, and I'll talk to you after
We'll
you.
run it. We'll run it back.
Yeah, we definitely have to run it back. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Pope. You want to say your moment?
No, good. We will just pick up on it next time, and next time I'm gonna have other sources if we still want to be on the subject matter. So that way,
I
You should do it.
absolutely think we should be on this subject. We got to run it back. Well,
it's cool. I'm gonna just have some other sources. Yeah, because I think we can't get everything and base everything on one book. Because that one book is just a piece of the puzzle. They don't outline everything that went on
you're
in
right.
the situation. So and probably a combination of the books don't do that.
A matter
But
of fact, it say I just was looking a couple books. It said Guns, Germs, and Steel
Mm.
by J. Diamond. I'm trying to make some comparisons with the book, so I have to read this. Sapien is another book,
yeah,
and the Lucifer Principle. I don't know.
Can y'all see
You
this?
should go ahead and post that in the chat if you could for us.
Can you see
Okay,
it?
all right.
Well, I have it.
How do I do that?
I have it up here. Do y'all see that?
Okay. Okay, yeah, I see it. Will.
Guns, Germs, and Steel
Still. Oh, I had the wrong name. Okay, John.
by
Hold on.
Jared Diamond.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you get the Lucifer Principle by Howard Boom. I don't know.
I do like Howard Boom. I've read another one of his books.
Okay.
Oh, the Lucifer Principle.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
yeah, that'll probably be a good thing on the next one, so we can, you
Yeah, we
know,
can all could be on the same page. Yeah.
right.
So it says the Lucifer principle is a revolutionary work that explores the intricate relationship among genetics, human behavior, and culture to put forth the thesis that evil is a byproduct of nature's strategy for creation and thus is woven into our basic biological fabric.
Mm,
And yeah, Howard
yes.
Bloom. Okay. Sounds exactly
No,
what he's saying in this book.
I can't remember what book it was of his, but I read a book of his before. But no, this sounds interesting. I'm gonna Amazon it is tonight.
It's just an Amazon it is.
Okay. All right, we'll pick back up on it. We'll run it back. I appreciate the time. I'm going to sleep. I got class
Yeah,
in the
me too.
morning.
All right.
So, all right,
I'm
family.
all right.
Oh, peace.
All right.
Peace.
All right.
I
Peace
ain't
out.
going to sleep. I just seen a book, so I'm about to hit it.
All
All right.
right.
See
Let me
y'all
know.
later.
We'll talk to y'all
Peace.
See
later.
ya.
All right. Bye.
Peace.
All right, bye.